brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Hey everyone. Welcome to another Suds segment where good beer meets bad radio. Joining me at the semi-round table today.
Is Dave part of the bad radio part?
Always.
Everybody raise their hand if they think that's the case. There we go, yes.
100%.
We need cameras to show that all the hands went up.
I've got one hand to go up for all of you.
Well, saying I'm number one again. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that.
Yes. Well, joining me at the semi-round table, the band is back together. Good old boy, Dave.
My mind is aglow with whirling, transient nodes of thought, careening through a cosmic vapor of invention.
And the smoke rises. Thanks, good old boy, Dave. Good old boy, Mike. Welcome back.
Yep. I like the signature move that this is becoming. It's, as long as we keep with the surgical tape and him using, a sound clip instead of his voice, I think it'll work.
Yeah.
I'm working towards the ability
I think
to
all
do
of those people
episode with just sound clips.
The 18 people that listen to this show in the Philippines, they said that rocks.
I think 18 is pretty generous.
Well, the one kid is only a 9-year-old, so we won't count him.
Multiple personalities.
Correct, yeah.
Good old boy, Kendall. Welcome back.
It's a pleasure. I feel like I've been away for a few months. You guys have been doing some great work and some just average work. But
We've just been drinking beer all the whole time.
But it's
all
really
we do
good.
here
I like how
is
you
drink
describe
some
it
beer.
as work.
It's really good to be back.
Well, today's episode is a brewery takeover of Blackberry Farm Brewing from Wallen, Tennessee. Now, the brewery is just one part of this huge estate. It's a luxury resort amongst many other things in East Tennessee. Good old boy Mike has been there. So, hey, why don't you give us a little snippet of what it's like out there?
I have both stayed at the farm as well as I've been to the brewery, and we'll probably talk about, a lot of experiences just with all aspects of Blackberry Farm today. It's just such an extraordinary part of East Tennessee. I mean, I have spent a lot of time in that, part of Tennessee, through Pigeon Forge as well as through Gatlinburg.
Dollywood.
No, I've never been to Dollywood. Oddly, I've not,
Have you seen Rock City?
No, I've not been to Rock City.
Dude.
I think he hasn't been
Rock
everywhere
City is
then.
not even in that part of
wrong part of the state, Dave.
Yeah.
It's in the east part of the state. East Tennessee is just one globulous thing that's away from me.
Yeah. Globulous. Yeah. We'll look that word up.
That's why we don't let Dave leave the house.
Yeah. It's the good reason why that
One
word
of
is
many
not
reasons.
on this script today. Just, it's really, something that they've been working on, over a long period of time. The farm itself has been around for quite a while. I want to say almost, 20 years now.
I think it's longer than that because the 1976 Saison was a 40-year.
That's true. I don't know that they really opened up to really receiving a lot of the public, though, until kind of the
Major
80s.
expansion, yeah.
But a great place to stay. The thing that they really immerse you in is really all the aspects of things that cut across your senses, tactile and smell and sounds. And it's just it really is an amazing experience to be steeped in a lot of things that you get to enjoy. Definitely the food is just off the hook. But seeing aspects of, the farm life there at Blackberry Farm, I think for a lot of people that, a lot of city slickers, it's a great experience. They get to see a lot of that up close, and they actually get to be a part of the experience, as well as enjoying a lot of what they consume while they're there as well. But it's a great place to relax. The scenery is just stunning. So it's a great experience. Kendall and I talked about the price tag of staying there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I got to go see the pilot brewery in the springtime and got to see a lot of the grounds. Absolutely gorgeous, but it's definitely one of those places, if you're going to go stay a while, you probably don't want to know how much it's going to cost. It's what did I say? If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite parts of the trip. I went on somebody else's dime. So
yeah, it is luxury, just to the limit. It is just the best of the best. They cater to the wealthy.
Yeah, they cater to not just the wealthy. They cater really well to their guests all the way across. So it is a really amazing experience. We're going to probably talk about the brewery a bit more today, which is actually in Merville, and talk a little bit about the beers as well that we're going to have from them today as well. We have a lot of stories along the way that we'll get to.
That we do. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
Sip, Suds, and Smokes, the video game. Play as your favorite good old boy or gal and build up your collection of all the good things in life. Buy, trade, and sell beer, cigars, wine, and spirits to build up the best seller ever. Play online against your friends, or just do like good old boy Mike and play with yourself. Sip, Suds, and Smokes, the video game. Download it for free at the iTunes Store or on Google Play.
So, Kendall, why don't you tell us today's lineup?
Okay, the Blackberry Farm Brewing beers we have today are King of Falling Fruit from the Barrel Series, Flanders, another Barrel Series, the Brett Saison, and also the Brett Fruit Blend from that series. We have a really nice Sorghum Saison, the Noble Cuvee Dry Hop Saison, and the Fenceline Farmhouse Ale.
So, good boy.
Massive applause.
Yay!
I mean, seriously. Yeah, I mean, really.
I was really making sure I didn't put an S on the farm because they're a little picky about that.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one farm. And I think what's so cool about this lineup today is just we had so many great choices. I mean, part of the process we go through is we're actually looking at the entire product line of many times of when we're doing a brewery takeover, and we have to think about time that we're working with as well. And one of the interesting things is we wound up with almost twice as many beers as we actually get to talk about. And that is still not even all the beers that is produced by Blackberry. And so it's just a really great lineup that we have today. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think we all are. So, good old boy Dave, why don't you test our...
Do something?
Yeah, test our strength here and give us a Suds ratings.
I don't know how to follow that, but I will.
Wait, I'll take this. I'm going to do this in my I would think would be a very typical local in Merville that is missing just a few natural teeth.
Hold on 1 second. I want to go ahead and hit this
Banned
button.
once again.
Thank you.
I want to make sure, though, you spell Merville so people outside of Tennessee know what we're talking about.
It's Maryville. Yes. But if you say Maryville, we are going to deport you back to Georgia is what we're going to do.
If you pronounce it, you're not from there.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. It's one of those things that if you get off the interstate and go, where is Lafayette? Get out of here, okay? So it's Lafayette. So just like this is Merville. All right, let's get on with this. Because when me and my cousins and I get together and we get some of that really crappy jam, we go, number one, that sucks. Give me anything but a bud. You know, I was over at Aunt Martha's the other day, and she looked at me, and she made this strange look at me, and she said, hey, was that a belch? And but then Uncle Leonard, he leaned over to me, and he said, that was not a belch. And he said, that sounds like number 3, which is, what a relief. And then Mama come into the room, see? And now it's really going to get serious because you got the aunt and uncle there and they're telling who's making what sounds and stuff. And Mama just looked at all of us and she said, there's number 4 in this room, which is a body should really not make that sound.
Was she pointing at you?
Well, my
They
cousin's next to
usually
me
are.
and he's got one eye looking the other way. And so I'm not really quite sure whether he was looking at her or she was looking at me, but we was all in the room. So I know somebody made one of them sounds that shouldn't be made. So, and then you know what? A couple of houses down, there's a good double wide and there's a nice couple that live there. And, you know, it makes some pretty interesting sounds down there. And you gotta say that's definitely number 5. I think them people got all their teeth in that double wide. And it's, number 5 is listen to Hang Time, giving me another.
Thank you, Uncle Daddy.
There's a 2:00 matinee if you'd like to show up.
Wow.
That
Way
was,
too many characters in my head, aren't there? I have actually stopped and purchased gasoline in Maryville, and one of these people actually works there. So
At least one, right?
at least one, and the
I don't-
entire family.
I don't think you'll be able to stop there again.
Okay.
Right, correct.
Wow.
Hey, use that bowl on the radio, right?
Guess
So-
that's so.
Correct.
Well, let's just keep this train going. Good old boy Dave, you want to start with
I
Something.
don't know if I want to or not. So we're all going to talk about our top 3. So I'll do my first one really quick. In no particular order, I would say one of the best beers on the flight was the Barrel Age Series Flanders.
Ezra? I'll take a quick sip.
Yeah.
Oh, would you like me to talk about it? Okay. Fine. So it's inspired by a traditional red and brown farmhouse ale of Belgium. It underwent a mixed cultural fermentation, spent 14 months aging in French oak red wine barrels before being bottled. And it is 6.5% ABV.
Hang on a second. I'm going to get Mama to come in here. I want her to taste this because this ain't like no regular beer that I ever had before.
Tell Mama not to soak her teeth in it.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be back after Mama takes a sip.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever, sweet love.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We are just beginning to discuss our little soiree here
We
with
have not
Blackberry
yet
Farm.
begun to go into the ditch.
We haven't. I mean,
Mama,
Mama's
that's
just
a Flanders.
yeah, Mama's just taking her first sip of something other than Bud Light. So this has been quite an extraordinary moment.
Learn to read.
You know, we should just say Maryville's a pretty nice little town.
Yes.
We don't want to disparage it
And
too
it,
much.
it is full
Too
of
much, right?
wonderful people.
I ain't got no kin over there. Yes.
Spent many days in Maryville. It's not too bad.
I can think some other parts of that part of the state that are have questionable moments, but not Maryville.
Maryville is a gem in the crown
yeah,
of
right.
East Tennessee.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So
Yes.
you were
I
about to
don't know
discuss.
what happened.
You were about to discuss your tasting notes on this Flanders
So
red.
the Flanders. So traditionally, Flanders reds and browns are very acidic, and they have a lot of dark fruit complexity and everything. I think this beer has all those components, but they're dialed back to make it very approachable, which is something I liked about it. I still think it has all the complexity with the red wine components and the dark stone fruits and things, but it was not a jaw clincher, which those beers can sometimes be. And that's why I gave the Flanders a 4.
And what's your second beer?
Oh, this is a counting contest, I see.
You got to use both
They
hands.
told me there was going to be math involved in
Here,
this.
you want to use a couple of mine? Get
Count
to that.
to 2, Cletus. This is so rude.
Well,
This is
can we find
this
a
is
sound effect with a horse tapping
This
down
is
on
Licking Hole Creek all over again. So the second beer I picked for my top 3 is King of Falling Fruit.
There could be a song about that one, I'm sure. This one is really interesting. It's a combination of their classic saison, their Abbey Blonde, and their Abbey Triple, aged in red wine barrels with local peaches and plums, and then blended with Brett B. This is 6.5% ABV.
So, anytime you taste a blend of beers, it's interesting to see if you can tell what characteristics come from each of the individual ones, and I never can, so this is no different. So,
Good for you.
yeah. However, what I did get from this was that it's very smooth, it's very delicate flavored. I would have called it the queen of falling fruit, but you know, this is that racist?
This is why Dave is not invited to the marketing meetings of most of the breweries, because it would be distractions like that you would just never arrive at a decision. But it would be funny.
Oh, very.
Whatever, dude. Whatever, dude.
Ooh, he's tongue-tied.
Anyway, I found that it was very smooth, delicate flavors. There was just a nice layer of fruitiness that went across, and just a hint of spice at the very end, which I found to be quite interesting finish, which probably nobody else tasted, but that's cool because whatever. So I gave this one a 4 as well.
And last but not least, your third of the 3/3.
Wait,
Anybody
I got to use my other hand for that.
Don't confuse him.
Kick off my shoes so I can do that arithmetic.
That's number 6.3 then.
My third one. You've confused me to the point I barely keep up. Is the Brett Fruit Blend.
Brett Fruit Blend. Okay. So this one is a golden farmhouse ale that's been fermented with Brett B, of course, aged in French oak red wine barrels. And then they add some pineapple and mango during fermentation to bring some citrus fruit. This one is 6.5% ABV. Anytime you want to speak.
That was a dramatic pause.
Right.
Thanks for burning that down. So these pineapple and mango are very present here to me. I really get a lot of the notes of that, and it's almost like almost verging on overripe pineapple and mango. That real funky kind of, when you pick it up off the counter, and it's probably gonna go right in the trash, but you could try to save it, because it's real soft and squishy, like me. But it smells really good. It's really stuff.
Stuff.
I'm
Powerful professional adjective.
Is that a Merville description of a good beer?
You know what? It's as clean as the country and as big as the sky. How about that for Maryville? I don't know what I just said, but I like this beer a lot. I'm giving it a 4. Can I be done now?
Oh,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yes, exactly. Okay, moving on. Good old boy Mike. Let's talk about your picks.
Yeah, so listen, I'm going to go through one that we haven't talked about yet. I'm going to go through the couple that Dave covered, and then I want to tell you a story
better
about
job than me.
actually meeting the brewer for the first time. So the one beer that is in my top 3 that David did not talk about was and we're in grand dispute about exactly how to say this correct. It's Nobile Cuvee Dry Hop Saison, although it's made with all noble hops. So We're not really quite sure what is the twist. Dave was probably at the marketing meeting.
No.
Let's put an I in it.
Probably. So this one,
No. Hold on. I have to defend my honor.
Oh, wow. This should be interesting.
I spelled it noble. On the bottle, it's noble, but on the website, it's nobile.
I
So,
see.
In your face.
So you're saying they hired the wrong person from the Philippines to do their
saying-
website? Is that it?
I'm saying someone's missing an eye somewhere, and we
all right.
found it.
Okay. So it is Noble Cuvee.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is inspired by classic Old World farmhouse ales and balanced with fruity character of New World hops. It's a golden dry hop saison that features, I always love saying this, Wakatu, Equinox, and Comet hops. This is this is 6.5%.
So this beer is really so emblematic of what I would describe as a French style saison. It's just embodies so many of the characteristics of things that you would have that are made with many of those style of hops, as well as just the classic saison that they work with.
Do you find it a bit snooty?
No, I think that it is friendly but not offensive. So, vive la France!
Then it has no place at this table.
It's very light. I actually wrote down crushable. I mean, I'm serious. If you had probably poured a 20-ounce container of this, I would absolutely just kill the whole thing. It is just so light, refreshing, very easy to consume. I enjoyed it when it was cold, even though it's a little bit warmer now. It still just has all of these great characteristics. If somebody is really loves those noble hops and really wants something that's actually made in America that hasn't been on a boat, for a long time and maybe suffered a little bit of some temperature fatigue or time, this is great fresh. I've had it fresh. I've had it in a bottle. I mean, this is just great all the way around. My Suds rating for the Noble Cuvee Dry Hop Saison from Blackberry Farms is a 4. So it's a good time to talk a little bit about the story that I have meeting Roy Milner for the first time, which was probably about 5 years ago, I want to say. We were at a beer festival event. It was the Brewers Reception. It happened to be in Nashville, Tennessee, and we were Roy had just come to town, and he had brought the very first version of one of the Blackberry Farms beer, which was the classic Saison, which has gone on to win just ton of industry awards. They actually won a medal at GABF for the Summer Saison the very first year that they entered. I actually was right there in the hall with Daniel, who runs the brewery, when he won. I mean, it was just an amazing moment for Blackberry Farms, and I think just for I think this style of beer in general, it was great to have something of just great quality being made in Tennessee. So this conversation I had with Roy kind of chases back to that. So we're standing there, and I'm just asking Roy a little bit about the brewery. I'd been to Blackberry Farm already, and I thought it was rather interesting, that this was kind of a new aspect of what they were going to do with Blackberry Farm itself. And I said, what kind of beers are you thinking about making? He said, well, I think we're just going to start out with some standard things like a Saison. And I said, that's great. I said, there's nothing wrong with going with something that's great and simple. I think that's awesome. And I said, are you thinking about making anything else? And he said, no, we're just kind of working our way through that. And I said, that's great. And I'm like, you're going to be a one beer wonder. Okay. And I said, well, what kind of things are you thinking about going with? And he said, well, we're working with about 60 different Saison recipes right now. I went, huh.
Wow.
Okay. So, that's rather interesting, that you're working your way through that. I really did not know that was their entire playbook for launching their product line, was going to be doing all of these Saisons. And it was his conversation about DuPont Saison that was so aligned with not only this last beer I talked about, this Noble Cuvee, because that is what I would probably consider something that is a great clone of a DuPont Saison that is made here.
Absolutely.
Their classic Saison is made with a different hop blend and a slightly different, I think, a different malt than this particular beer. This is a dead-on clone. And the yeast that they work with is a DuPont yeast, or it's a variant of a DuPont yeast. And actually, DuPont yeast is incredibly flexible, and that was one of the things that I've chatted with Roy several times over, and they've really found so many things that they're able to do with this and stretch it in terms of the malt, the mash bill that they're working with, or in terms of what they really are wanting to do, either, fermenting it longer or shorter and different temperatures. And it really takes all these, various characteristics on that they really get to work with. And so I think that a lot of those decisions that were made very early on have really served their product line incredibly well. And as we're going through a lot of these, a lot of them all go back to that same yeast strain that I was talking about with Roy. And this particular beer is definitely aligned right back to that initial conversation. So I just think that it's fascinating that you would find somebody that is deciding to take that approach up front, and nothing has really moved them off of that agenda when they've really had a lot of opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Focused, really tight, really great ideas about where they want to go. Roy's got an amazing vision.
It really does. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about some of their distribution choices later on in the episode. I want to get to the last two beers because they are two of the other beers that Dave covered as well. The next one I wanted to talk about was the Brett Fruit Blend from 2017. We already introduced this beer, and Dave talked about his tasting notes. Mine were really sweet fruit, light, lots of melon, a little hint of citrus, just a fantastic finish. I love the finish off of this beer. This is another one of those things that if we've only probably poured a half a glass, and I keep on looking at it going, that's not enough. And just a really a great beer all the way around. My Suds rating for the Brett Fruit Blend 2017 from Blackberry Farms is a 4. The last beer I want to talk about is another one of the ones that Dave covered, which is the King of Falling Fruit. One of the things I thought was what?
Queen of Falling Fruit.
Yeah, no. Are there very many people on the royal court today? The thing I thought was interesting about this beer is we've really watched a lot of brewers that have moved from making a lot of straight up beer to moving to things where they're barrel aging and then moving on to blending. And so you're seeing kind of that aspect of what Blackberry Farms has moved through as well, almost in that same order, right? Because those are how they move through some of the product lines as well. And I always say that when you move people down this path of blending, you're going to find out just how good they are at what they're doing. I have great respect for people that do this in wine all day long. They have a lot of reference standards, like a standard Bordeaux blend that you'd be going against. But in the beer world, there aren't a lot of standard blends. It's not like you sit down and go, I know what I'm trying to achieve when I'm walking into it.
Sure.
So I think that from the cheap seats, I always love looking at, it's almost like standing over and looking over the shoulder of an artist and saying, why'd you use that color? Or why did you choose that? And I've been on a lot of blending panels for beer, and I love the experience. It's really great. It exercises a whole part of my personality, which just, it is an interesting moment. That's a different character voice.
Oh, sorry.
But with King of Falling Fruit, I just thought that it was a really great moment of really seeing where I thought that Blackberry Farm could go, in taking a lot of great, palettes, colors of the rainbow they have to work with, and creating something really amazing in terms of a blend. So for King of Falling Fruit, my tasting notes, a lot of stone fruit, a lot of heavy sugars that I thought were in this. I loved every sip of this. It was very complex. I love the wood off of this. This was a fantastic beer. My Suds rating for Blackberry Farm's King of Falling Fruit is going to be a 4.
Moving on.
Yeah, we'll get to some more stories along the way.
Okay, good old boy Kendall. Let's talk about your top picks.
Okay, I will try to get through this without adding an S, like good old boy Mike did a few times.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I say really?
Yeah.
We're going to assume he meant apostrophe S.
Yeah. Okay.
right.
Let's throw the apostrophe in there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Blackberry Farm.
I don't want my friends over at the farm upset.
Oh, they're already going to.
No.
If they've made it this far,
There's
through the
only
show,
one farm.
There's
I know
only
that.
one farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering where this episode was going, considering Blackberry Farm is probably the classiest spot in Tennessee. We
Other than
went
right here.
the other direction.
Can you
completely
say the
and
word classy with Dave sitting in close proximity at the same time?
I am Mr. Classy.
It is
Hit the right button.
it's a gorgeous place, and it's no coincidence that these beers are gorgeous, and the attention they give to everything on the farm, whether it's the charcuterie or the cheeses which they make, which you can get online, by the way. Those are amazing cheeses. They put the same attention into this beer, and you can see that the quality is everything they do is just top notch. So my first beer was the one that's already been mentioned. That is the Barrel Series Flanders. What I loved about this beer is I got jammy red fruits, like some strawberry, some cherry. There's a tartness to it, but it's not overly acidic.
Yeah.
It's rich, it's luscious, it's smooth. There's just a hint of the oakiness from the barrels that it was in. And a lot of Flanders Red has that, like you talked about, Dave, that acetic vinegar bite. I love some of the classic Belgian Flanders Reds, but wow, they'll just almost strip the enamel off your teeth. And this beer has a beautiful tartness. There's so much going on, a lot of complexity here, and I think this was absolutely the best beer of the flight. It was my number one, and I'm giving it a 5.
Nice.
We'll be right back after a brief interlude.
It's not just the destination, but baby, the whole elation of riding down this lover's avenue. As slow as the willow blows, or as fast as the whirlwind grows, we glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my hand is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
Welcome back, everyone. We're still here, and we're still talking about Blackberry
Still
Farm.
in the same room with Dave.
We are.
We're still here, but are they?
Well, they are.
a long
They are,
shot.
because they want to know what I have to say later. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, so good old boy Kendall was just talking about his first beer, which was the Flanders. And hey, since you're now like a wino of sorts, why don't you talk about the barrel that the Flanders came in?
Yeah, interestingly enough, last weekend I did the level 1 sommelier introductory course, and I passed the test. And so I learned more about wine than I ever thought I would know as a beer guy. And one of the things about this beer is it's aged in French oak red wine barrels. So I asked good old boy Mike, who also knows his wine,
The king of winos.
what do you think, what kind of barrel do you think this was aged in?
Well, so I'm the level 2 guy for CMS. But I've really had so many French wines, some blended, unblended, and there were a couple of guesses that I had kind of off the bat. A lot of sugar, was really riding on this, and I think that kind of tempered a lot of the acidic quality that was you would usually find in a lot of the Flanders, and it was kind of providing the soft, quality around it that I had not really previously had in another Flanders. So my first guess is that I thought it was a Southern Rhone of some kind. And then I got to thinking a little bit about it, and my first guess was I actually thought maybe it was a Beaujolais, which is sometimes it's dropped in a barrel, sometimes Beaujolais is just it's in a steel barrel. It's practically a table wine. Beaujolais is. It's a fresh harvest wine that is produced very quickly, maybe in like 60 days. But then we kept on tasting it, and after having a bit more of it, I really think it's a solid Grenache barrel is really what this is, because some of the other varieties I was thinking of actually have too much sugar, and the Grenache has enough sugar about it, and it still has enough of the tannin element of a red wine that I really thought that would be it. So it'll be an interesting question to kind of throw back to Roy and say, what barrel did you use, man? He'll go, you were dead wrong all the way around.
So what's your next pick?
My next pick is another beer that's been mentioned, and that is the Brett Fruit Blend, which I think has opened up so much since it warmed up. So much tropical fruit going on in this one. And I think that's what I love about this is it is just smooth, crisp. I get the tropical fruit out of that, but I also get a little bit of lemon, maybe a little bit of tangerine. There's just a lot of bright acidity to this beer, but it's not overly tart. I like what the Brett does to it. There's not that huge farmhouse funk, and it says that the yeast was actually Brett Brooks. So if this is a 100% Brett fermented beer, you're not going to get those strong farmhouse characters you do if you ferment with Saccharomyces and then throw the Brett in. So it's just beautiful, rich, smooth. I love just what that fruit did to this beer, and it's a number 4 for me.
I think the question I would have for them around this beer would be, did you hit what you were aiming for, or were you just kind of letting it go and seeing where it basically went? That would be probably the big question I would have for Roy about this.
And your third pick?
And my third pick is kind of related to the last one. It's the Barrel Series Brett Saison.
So that one is 6.3%. It is one that we haven't spoken about yet. It's a golden farmhouse ale that's been fermented with Brett B, of course, and aged in French oak red wine barrels.
So this one, I don't know how similar the Brett Fruit and the Brett Saison are, if they used a similar base. First thing I got out of this was just you get a fruity character, even though they didn't put any fruit in it, just I think from the yeast and the Brett. There's just a light funk to it, not terribly farmhouse, or what's the word? Not farmhouse. Barnhouse. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Barnhousey.
Yeah. Not that leather, horsey, goaty flavor, but just kind of that overall.
You're not getting the goat? Really? Huh. You call yourself a sommelier, you're not getting the goat, huh?
What I'm getting off of this is, some peach, some apricot, maybe a little bit of orange. It's citrusy, but not the acidic citrus like a lemon or grapefruit. It's kind of that sweeter citrus.
It's nice how it opened up as it's warmed up, too.
Absolutely.
And the creaminess in the mouthfeel is really cool.
It's creamy. It's got a nice semi-dry finish, almost dries out, but not completely. Overall, it's just excuse me, I'll wait while Dave klutzes with his microphone. Come on, Dave.
I got it. No, I don't. Hold on. I got it. Boom.
But I think the Brett Saison is a terrific beer. To me, this is almost a summer crusher. It's
I agree.
Really light, delicate, and you could drink bottles and bottles of this. It's a 4 for me.
Cool.
I don't think that was the same barrels that they had for anything else, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
I really didn't get much of the barrel out of that.
Yeah. This was definitely the Brett B was the star of that show, for sure.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about one that everyone's already talked about.
We asked her to pick 3 beers, and she has 7 in front of her. Guess how many she's going to discuss?
Dun, dun, dun. Well, it won't be more than 7.
Well, I don't
Most
have
likely.
time to talk about every one.
We'll
of them.
start, go through the 2 we have not talked about first.
Okay.
How about that?
So the first one will be the Fenceline, which is a farmhouse ale with large portions of floor malted wheat for a creamy mouthfeel and hazy straw color. Then they also add generous amounts of Huell melon hops to lend notes of melon and strawberry along with a balanced bitterness. This one is only 5.5%, and it uses the classic Saison yeast. What I really liked about this was the combination of wheat with the melon hops. I thought it was a very pretty, very easy, very balanced beer. One thing that I don't know that anyone has really talked about, this whole flight was all very creamy, very delicious endings on all of these beers.
Absolutely.
Which, kind of boggles my mind considering what styles we have. It's not all Saisons that we have here. I mean, that Flanders can certainly have gone in a completely different direction, but it almost had a creamy, ending to it as well, which just, to me, attests to the fact that these brewers are doing everything right. And they're putting a lot of love into these beers that are coming to, places near you. Anyways, I really enjoyed the wheat flavor of the beer as well as that strawberry and melon flavor from the hops. I just thought it was really different and, not too over the top. I gave it a 4.
I got this thing going through my head. Mama, look, these beers are creamy. They're made with lots of love. Come down here and try some of these things.
Did you say cream corn?
I'm sorry. I had to get that out of my head. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Leave the stuff in your head from now on.
We're just perpetuating that myth of Southern culture.
I guess. For those of you that are
in my
Southern.
mental health state. Right, correct.
I think it's more of a reflection on Mike than the people of the South. Southern people, we know what we got. This guys like this
Got multiple states to pick to claim a point of heritage from. So
the other one that I wanted to discuss was the Sorghum Saison.
Made my gums sore.
Oh, whatever. So for me, growing up in northeastern Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania Dutch people use sorghum in a lot of their foods, as well as obviously East Tennessee, because they have generous amounts of muddy pond sorghum syrup, and then some Riverbend grains as well in this. This beer is only 6.5%. It's 100% bottle re-fermented. What I thought was interesting about this kiddo is that it is using Southeast Labs wild native honeysuckle yeast, as well as some EKG, Equinox, and Matuka hops in it. So I think that blended with...
I think you picked this because you just like saying the word Watuka.
Watuka.
Actually, no, this isn't Watuka.
Oh.
this is
Matuka.
This is
Matuka.
Matuka.
Yeah,
Yes.
you like saying that word too.
Yeah.
That word as well. Yes.
You're thinking of wackadoo.
Right.
Again, though, this may not appeal to everybody, but
True.
okay, fine. Tell me how you really feel
I
in a
didn't like
minute after I finish. So what I really liked about this, though, is how different it was compared to everything else in this flight.
Very.
It was, which makes me appreciate what they do at the farm to begin with. Is they're thinking outside the box as to what a classic Saison would be, and they're finding these different grains, different adjuncts, and to me it blends well together. And I like their hop additions that they put in with the sorghum and with this yeast strain. And I do have like a nice little floral finish on it, which I thought was really pretty. And then in looking at the yeast strain, realizing what it's for, I gave this one a solid 4. And then, of course, the last one that I wanted to talk about, which everyone else has talked about, is the king or queen of fallen fruit, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah.
Just absolutely stunning. And such a great example of how blending can be absolute perfection. If you think about it, these are 3 different beer styles that they put together, and then the fruit that they added, it just is an absolutely stunning beer. And it's something that all of us can try. You don't have to go to the farm. You don't have to stay at the farm to appreciate what they're making. And this is absolutely stunning. And I gave this one a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything I would probably absolutely keep would capture my attention to look out for is whatever they're going to blend next.
Yes.
There was a part of me that went, I really wish that one of us would be a part of a blending panel to work with them, since there's, close in proximity and we have, these great relationships. But at the same time, the other part of me wants to go, they're doing such a great job. I just want to get out of their way, and I just want to see what they want to do next. It's not really about us participating. I'm just dying to see, what's the next, blend product that they put out.
Well, one point, good old boy Mike, you said we had a great relationship. We might not longer after they hear this show.
There is no relationship at this point.
Well, Dave's on the show.
We are dead to them.
And Julieanna, one of the things you mentioned we went by real quick is that Riverbend malt.
Yes.
And for those of you that don't know, they are a kind of an artisan malt house in Asheville, North Carolina. And, one of these, I just had an idea. Maybe one of these days we could get a lot of beers with Riverbend malt in them and do a Riverbend show.
That would be interesting, where you see a common malt product that, has been spread across, multiple breweries. We haven't done, something like that. That would be kind of interesting. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It is a great malt house. You're right.
Doing really cool stuff. And a lot of breweries, not only in Asheville, but throughout the Southeast, are starting to use their product.
Well, the sorghum product was one thing that I thought was very emblematic of a lot of things, very Blackberry Farm. See?
There you go.
Yes, it's very Blackberry Farmish.
Well, it's that they would incorporate a common local product. I don't know the relationship they have with Muddy Pond, but it reminds me of a lot of what they do, which is they look at 1 or 2 or 3, ingredients. They go, this is the base canvas that we want to work with. There's a lot of other things that we want to work with around this, to really bring what we do very well. And there were some other products that we did not talk about that they've made in the past, where we've seen that several times, where they've picked out one key ingredient. One of the products we did not talk about on the show is the buckwheat strawberry.
So good.
But it's very emblematic of a lot of the style of what they do, which is they really are looking around the base of local ingredients that they have to work with, both that are available within the confines of Blackberry Farm. See, I'm teachable. To work with, as well as, other people that are within a lot of the local proximity that they get to brew with as well. So, I can think of, a lot of sorghum, places, in this area that they had to choose from. And it's nice that they almost probably put a jar of the sorghum on the table and said, let's create a beer around that jar right there.
Sure. And it's taking the whole farm to table movement that you find in the food industry to another level, knowing that you can do this with beer and even other spirits for that matter, and just how well crafted it can be and how special it can be, when you're tasting this. And another thing I've noticed for all these Saisons, Flanders, and assorted beers that we've had, they're all so approachable to so many people that I think it opens up a world of possibility for a lot of people who are used to one beer style. This is so easy for everybody to try.
Yeah, we didn't talk about their distribution model, and I think I can do it here very quickly. What's really interesting is they are widely available through a great distribution model they had with 12%. And so you can really find a lot of the Blackberry Farm, products on a global scale. And so there are a lot of people that have been able to enjoy quite a few of these products. Definitely the classic Saison, which has a very broad distribution. A lot of the seasonal products, the fall, the summer, the winter Saison versions as well. So these are a lot of things you'll be able to find and enjoy and for a long time to come. So I hope you'll definitely take the time, enjoy our tasting notes, but also come back and enjoy these on your own.
Well, everyone, we have completed another episode.
Wow.
Just barely.
Just by the skin of our teeth,
So
those that we
I'm
have.
debating, has there been a temporary restraining order that's been filed before or after the show? So-
Probably one
soon
before
find out.
and at, yeah. we
Mama,
will soon
taste
find
this
out.
bear again.
Well, everyone, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can catch all of our episodes online, as well as on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. iTunes, Google Play, and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show on your phone. Just search for Sips, Suds, Smokes on iTunes or in the Google Play Store.
We love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudsmokes.com.
Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at SipSuds and SipSuds Smoke, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news.
Hey, you can do us a big favor. Take the time to rate this episode. If you're listening online, hop on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating and a comment. That would be great.
Kendall, please tell us quickly about your blog that you have.
My lovely wife and I blog about the good news of good beer at beermakes3.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Well, good old boy Dave, say goodbye.
All right, we'll see you, honey.
Thank you. Good old boy Mike.
Hey, this is Good Old Boy Mike asking you, come back, join us once again, and I'll ask you to keep on sipping.
Good old boy Kendall.
It's a pleasure to be back. Goodbye, y'all.
This is good old gal Julieanna asking you to keep on chuggling, and see you guys soon.
This has been a one-tan-hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.